Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the third day of September 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy in this Wednesday. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders every day, risking their lives to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are victims of pornography and child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators of these things. Double curses upon all who profit from these things, and double curses on the perverts that create the demands that cause these heinous industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, the Knicks got some more good news, with the play of Guershon Yabusele. Again, another slick move by the Don. Always playing chess when the rest of the world is looking at checkers, especially media of the Knicks and media in general, always looking for the sensationalism. But the Don takes his time, finds the jewels, signs them cheap, and gets value. Gershon Yabusele is coming to this Fiba Eurobasket tournament, kicking behind and taking names. Against Poland, apparently he dropped 36. This is the thing. We must remember, Fiba Eurobasket is Fiba. But we're dealing with the league. Fiba is not the league, okay? So what can we take from what we have seen from Gershon Yabusele in Fiba? One thing that we already knew from playing against him when he was a member of the Philadelphia 76ers is the energy level. The energy level is high. He's always had that, since I've been watching him. And in the FIBA tournament, that is the prime thing we're seeing again, the high energy level. What also we are seeing, which I think will carry over, though not at the same level, is his three-point shooting. His three-point shooting is, no pun intended, on point. Thing is about it is that I don't expect him to be shooting at that high level in the league. It's not FIBA. This is the league, right? But if he could shoot 36 to 38% from three in the league, which I believe he can, it's a game changer. Think about this. You got him with high energy defensive abilities, that is moving with and without the basketball, covering ground, hustling, plus shooting, coming off your bench, with high-scoring, explosive Jordan Clarkson, and two-way defensive stopper Deuce, plus the Energizer Bunny, Charlie Hustle himself, Josh Hart. And can you imagine them four? And let's say you get three options, really, to play with them. Well, really, you got more than that. But let's just talk about the basic three. You can play that four with Cat. So you're talking about guys that cut without the ball, guys that pass to cutters, and guys that play defense, except for the Cat. But we need some. We can get a lot. Cat will beat you really, Jordan Clarkson too. But we have to see how he comes out. I'm hoping for an improvement. Jordan Clarkson's a vet, so you're not gonna get, all NBA defense from him. But I'm looking for him to be. He's not going to be a traffic cone, put it that way. He's going to be coming off the bench. He's not going to be a traffic cone. He's going to be a high scorer, coming off the bench, and he's going to play adequate, stay in front of your man type defense, right? Not get fooled type defense. But anyway, you play that with Cat, dynamite. You play that with Mitch Rob, dynamite. You play that with Ariel Hukporti, dynamite. That's your bench. Okay? So I have had several. This is a thing I get a lot. And I read straight through it because I've seen hundreds of them. Guy will have an agenda. The agenda is, for example, we need to make a trade. That's usually the agenda. We need to make a trade. And in order to justify the foolishness of the proposed trade that they done seen on some other idiot's content, they want to justify it by saying something like this. Last year, the Knicks bench scoring was terrible without Brunson. Now, that was a narrative created by the media last year. So then comes the trade. So because of that, we need to go get, name your guy, Malcolm Brogdon or somebody else in Anthony Ambulance School. We need to go get Malcolm Brogdon. We need to make a trade. So the pretext of them coming up with the foolish suggestion is our bench sucked at scoring when Brunson wasn't on the floor last year. And that came from Knicks media. Alan Howe, all of them were saying that. But see, what that really was a function of how Tibbs played the bench. That was a function of that. He was playing the bench with starters that were overplayed, and he did not use the depth. We all know that. That was the downfall of Tibbs last year. That was his downfall. He did not get the most out of his bench. He had talent there, but if he'd have stretched it out to 9, 10-man rotation like Mike Brown's going to do, they'd have played a lot better, I feel. So I feel like the criticism was unwarranted in the sense that if you're trying to make the argument we need to go make trades, I'm not buying it. But instead, the Knicks get Yabusele on a 2-year, $11 million contract. That's a steal. And then you went and got Jordan Clarkson, a proven NBA scorer. Now, granted, Clarkson's on the wrong side of 30. But that boy could still come off the bench and score, and y'all going to be very happy come playoff time. You got him. So you got him on a minimum. And now you got those two with your Deuces and your Josh Harts. And then you could add a fifth guy. Like I said, you got Ariel Hukporti, who I'm very confident in as a backup 5. You got Mitch Rob, who you got to be careful with because of the minutes, right? You don't want to. And then you got Cat. Cat, I feel like Cat. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that, okay, there's 48 minutes available at the 5 spot. There's 48 minutes available at each position on the floor, 1 through 5. So let's take the 5 spot, because that's what we're talking about. So there's 48 minutes available at the 5 spot. And we already said, I don't want to see Mitch really playing more than 25 minutes a game. So take 25 off of that. That leaves you 23 minutes left to play at the 5 spot. You can play Ariel Hukporti 15 minutes at the 5. Okay? That leaves you about 8 minutes. In those 8 minutes, you can play Cat at the 5. And you can play Yabusele at the 4. Okay? You can play Yabusele 15, 20 minutes if you want. And you can put different players at the 5. But in this case, let's say you play Cat 8 to 10 minutes at the 5. So for those 8 to 10 minutes that he's going to play at the 5, first of all, we are very confident if he's not in foul trouble, which is big if, he's not going to be able to be guarded by anybody. Nobody's going to be able to guard him on the opponent. There's no opponent that's going to be able to guard him. I don't care if it's Rudy Gobert. I don't give a crap who it is. He can take anybody offensively. Like I said, he could be 50 pounds overweight and he could get 25 a game because nobody could guard him. He's just too much as far as strength, as far as shooting skill offensively. So you got that. Plus you bring in the 4, Yabusele, Hart, Deuce, and Jordan Clarkson. Or if you wanted to bring in Shamet instead of Clarkson. Now you not only got the scoring, you got the defense also. The Knicks are going to be a problem this year because you see, brethren, everyone looks at the starting 5s of every team and they make decisions based on how high they think that team will go based on their starting 5. And I kind of understand that. But for the teams that go all the way, and that's what we're talking about, you need a bench, okay? You need a bench. Oklahoma City is now the poster child. right? Oklahoma City and Indiana, although Indiana is all messed up now because they don't have Miles Turner no more. Halliburton's out for the year, okay? And so they just have Isaiah Jackson coming back at the 5. They really got a lot of question marks. They still got a really good team aside from those 2 dudes missing. They still got a really good team. Let us not forget, Mathurin and Neesmith and all of them cats could ball, okay? But they're not going to be the same team they were last year. So last year, though, you're talking about all of those guys plus Miles Turner plus Halliburton plus a bench. And your bench, you still had Mathurin coming off your bench. You had Mathurin, Obi Toppin. They had a bench, and they went 9 deep. Okay, they went 9 deep on their bench. And again, that's what the new thing is now. The NBA is a copycat league. Pacers went 9 deep, and they had legit 9 or 10 that they could roll with, and they did. And Oklahoma City, we know, they went 10 deep. And so that's the new thing. So you're talking about going in depth with, 10 guys. And not just any 10 guys. You're talking about 10 guys that could ball. Okay? So last year you had your starters, Siakam, Halliburton, Turner, Nembhard. And then you had Mathurin and Neesmith. They started back and forth. Mathurin started basically 49 games. Neesmith started 37 games. You still had Ben Shepherd. You still had Jarice Walker, Obi. You still had Obi Toppin, who appeared in 79 games. T.J. McConnell. You did not have Isaiah Jackson last year, but you're going to have him this year, okay? Then you have the youngin', Johnny Furphy, who I like coming out of Kansas. He can ball a little bit. And so you got all of that now on your team. Last year, we're talking about last year. And they all contributed to the chip. Because you see, it is very difficult for any team to game plan against a dynamic bench. You can game plan for the starters. And so, for example, Pascal played 33 minutes a game, Halliburton 34 minutes a game, Turner 30 minutes a game. That's nice numbers right there. Nice balance. 29 minutes for Nembhard, 30 minutes for Mathurin, when he was in there, 25 for Neesmith when he was starting. So you got a nice balance. But then you got your bench that could come in for 18 to 20 minutes a game. And if they're good, like your Ben Shepherd, TJ, Obi, we know about Obi, and then Jarice Walker, that's why they went to the finals. And then they had Thomas Bryant, who would never be mistaken by anybody from a defensive center. He also was a big part of that bench, appearing in 56 games for them, averaging 15 minutes a game. That's what you need to win the chip. The problem, with some teams, like, for example, Phoenix, they were still in that big 3 mode and putting all their salary structure into big 3 and then hoping by the drafting of a Iguodaro or a drafting of defensive players that they can maybe make up for the deficiency. It obviously didn't work, and it ain't going to. See, that big 3 game is over. And people ain't realized it yet. That is over. Players still ain't realized it because they still trying to get together as if Kyrie and Durant go to Brooklyn, they're going to win a chip. We see how that work out. Okay? The reason the LeBron and them won it, you had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in their prime, 2-way players that are willing to play defense. So Miami didn't need to go get a whole bunch more defenders because they didn't have any. Those 3 dudes could all ball on both sides of the ball at a high level, which is why they won 2 chips. You ain't gonna hardly see that again. Okay, the salary structure, the aprons ain't gonna allow that. The Knicks, you can get close to it, like Oklahoma City, like the Knicks, because you got Cat, you got Brunson, right? And then you got your ancillary dudes. You got OG, you got McCall. You still got some dudes that could do business. Josh, you need that. So the Knicks now have it. Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, Deuce McBride, Josh Hart is the foundation of a dynamic bench. Like I said, there's any number of guys you can use in that 5th spot. We named 3 in Cat, Mitch Rob, and Ariel. If you wanted to go Yabusele at a small ball 5, you could do that and bring in Shamet. You could do that, okay? Or I wouldn't be surprised now if Diawara earned some minutes in that type of situation. But we'll see. That's a long shot. He's still a rook, so I don't want to hype him too much. But Yabusele is showing us how brilliant the Don is. He's a guy who's looking to get. This is his biggest bag at $11 million. Hey, listen, for me, if I had $11 million, yeah. Anyway, but that's a big bag for an average person. But for an NBA player, that's not the bag. But for him, it's the bag, right? And he ain't finished. He wants some more money. Okay, he wants some more money. So next year is an option for him. So he could ball out this year. He got the guaranteed 6 next year, or he could say, rip that contract up. It's time for me to get my $15 million a year. See, so he got all that. So he's gonna be hungry. And generally, a guy in his position, this is generally speaking, going back many years, you're talking about times when Melo did it, times when Curry did it, times when other players did this, played in the summer and had their best year ever. Because they come out the summer not only sharp, but in shape and ready to go. I think we're going to get that from Yabusele. He's going to come out this summer sharp and in shape. One thing, if you see him get hurt, it ain't going to be because he's not in shape, and it ain't going to be because he's lazy. It's going to be because he tried too hard and overdid it, right? So, don't get hurt, bro. But look, he come in there, this camp, he's going to be kicking behind and taking names. And that's good for the Knicks. This is your backup 4. I don't know. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. I'm looking forward to this camp. Yeah, y'all enjoy your Wednesday. Shalom.